22. 2. 1-10. Mount 2. 13-80 Moses was called out of Egypt with Jehovah's firstborn, the nation of Israel, Moses being the nation's leader. Jesus was called out of Egypt as God's firstborn son. X4. 22, 23. Ho 11. 1. Mount 2. 15, 19-21 both fasted for 40 days in wilderness places. X34. 28. Mount 4. 1, 2 both came in the name of Jehovah, Jesus' name itself meaning Jehovah is salvation. X3. 13-16. Mount 1. 21. Joe 5. 43 Jesus, like Moses, declared the name of Jehovah. 32. 3. Joe 17. 6, 26 both were exceptional in meekness and humility. New 12. 3. Mount 11. 28-30 both is the most convincing credentials to show that they were sent by God. Astounding miracles of many sorts, Jesus Christ going farther than Moses by raising dead persons to life. X14. 21-31. PS 78. 12-54. Mount 11. 5. Mr. 5. 38-43. Lu 7. 11-15, 18-23. Moses was mediator of the law covenant between God and the nation of Israel. Jesus was mediator of the new covenant between God and the holy nation, the spiritual Israel of God. 1 Pe 2. 9. G 6. 16. X 19. 3-9. Lu 22. 20. Heb 8. 6. 9. 15 both served as judges, lawgivers, and leaders. X 18. 13. 32. 34. Dar 9. 25. Mal 4. 4. Mount 23. 10. Joe 5. 22, 23. 13. 34. 15. 10 Moses was entrusted with and proved faithfully to his stewardship in the house of God, that is, the nation, or congregation, of Israel. Jesus showed faithfulness over God's house that he as God's son constructed, namely, the nation, or congregation, of spiritual Israel. New 12. 7. Heb 3. 2-6 And even in death there was a parallel. God disposed of the bodies of both Moses and Jesus. 34. 5, 6. Act 2. 31. Jude 9. Toward the end of Moses' 40-year sojourn in the wilderness, while he was shepherding his father-in-law's flock, God's angel made a miraculous manifestation to him in the O textoi acute miritra longo, most holy 441 mosquito heb. Que rats. Any of the great variety of two-winged insects having a round head and long, slender, five-jointed legs. Female mosquitoes are equipped with a strong proboscis that enables them to pierce the skin of man and animals, in order to suck their blood. The Hebrew word rendered mosquito NW appears as a noun only at Jeremiah 46. 20, where it is used to represent the Babylonians and in Nebuchadnezzar, the enemy to the north that would come against Egypt, the pretty heifer. Most high. Topmost is to place, or position. The Hebrew word el middle.yon, used with reference to Jehovah as Most High, is also applied to other persons or things. The Messianic King, the greater David, as above the other earthly kings PS 89. 20, 27, the place above the nations promised to Israel to 26. 18, 19, the topmost basket GE 40. 17, the upper gate to Chi 15. 35, the upper pool to Chi 18. 17, the upper courtyard J 36. 10, the uppermost story as 41. 7, the uppermost dining rooms as 42. 5, upper Beth Horon Jos 16. 5, and the upper source of the waters of Gihon 2 ch 32. 30. These uses illustrate that L-yon denotes position rather than power. When applied to Jehovah, Most High emphasizes his supreme position above all others. PS 83. 18. The title first appears at Genesis 14. 18-20 with El God, where Melchizedek is called priest of the Most High God and, in that capacity, blesses Abraham as well as the Most High God. Most High is used in combination with the divine name Jehovah GE 14. 22. PS 7. 17 and with the plural of excellence Him God PS 78. 56, and it also appears alone. The 32. 8. PS 9. 2. Isra 14. 14. The plural Aramaic form Yo Name occurs at Daniel 7. 18, 22, 25, 27, where it may be translated Supreme One and W, the plural being the plural of excellence, majesty. The Aramaic form in the singular number, Il Most High, is used at Daniel 7. 25. The Greek word Stos Most High, as applying to Jehovah, is employed mainly by Luke, in his Gospel twice in Gabriel's announcement to Mary about the birth of Jesus and in the Acts. 1. 32, 35, 76. 6. 35. 8. 28. Acts 7. 48. 16. 17. The other occurrences are at Mark 5. 7 and Hebrews 7. 1. Most Holy. The innermost room of the tabernacle and, later, of the temple. Also called the Holy of Holies. Acts 26. 33, FTN. 1 Chi 6. 16th. This compartment in the tabernacle was apparently cubical, each of its three dimensions being 10 cubits 4.5 meters, 14.6 feet. The dimensions of the Most Holy in the temple built by Solomon were twice those of the tabernacle, so that it was 8 times as large in volume. Acts 26. 15, 16, 18, 22, 23. 1 Chi 6. 16, 17, 20. 2 Ch 3. 8. The high priest entered the Most Holy only on the annual Day of Atonement. At no time could any other person go beyond the curtain that hung between this room and the holy place. 16. 2 In the Most Holy the high priest was surrounded by the colorful embroidered cherubs on the tabernacle's inner covering and on the curtain. Acts 26. 1, 31, 33 In Solomon's temple the walls and ceiling were of cedar wood covered with gold, and cherubs, palm tree figures, gourd-shaped ornaments, and blossoms were engraved on the walls. 1 Chi 6. 16-18, 29. 2 Ch 3. 7, 8. The scriptures outline 3 entries of the high priest into the Most Holy on Atonement Day. First with the golden censer of perfumed incense, fired by coals from off the altar. A second time with the blood of the bull, the sin offering for the priestly tribe. And finally with the blood of the goat, the sin offering for the people. 16. 11-15. Hob 9. 6, 7, 25 He sprinkled the blood of the animals on the ground before the golden ark of the covenant, on the cover of which were golden cherubs and above which cover Jehovah's presence was symbolized by a cloud. Acts 25. 17-22. 16. 2, 14, 15 That cloud evidently shone as a bright light, being the sole light for this compartment of the tabernacle. O textoi acute miritra longo. Moth 442 confirmed that the atonement sacrifices offered by the Jewish high priest were now no longer of value, and there was no need for the services of the Levitical priesthood anymore. Mount 27. 51. 23. 38. Hob 9. 1-15. Symbolic use. The most holy compartment in the tent of meeting, or the tabernacle, contained the Ark of the Covenant. The cover of that ark surmounted by 2 golden cherubs represented God's throne. Therefore the Most Holy was used, figuratively, to represent the dwelling place of Jehovah God, heaven itself. The inspired letter to the Hebrews gives us this interpretation of matters when it compares the entry of Israel's high priest into the most holy one day a year, on the Day of Atonement, with the entry of the great high priest Jesus Christ into what the most holy symbolized, once for all time with his sacrifice for sins. It explains. Into the second compartment the most holy the high priest alone enters once a year, not without blood, which he offers for himself and for the sins of ignorance of the people. This very tent is an illustration for the appointed time that is now here. However, when Christ came as a high priest of the good things that have come to pass, through the greater and more perfect tent not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, he entered, no, not with the blood of goats and of young bulls, but with his own blood, once for all time into the holy place, and obtained an everlasting deliverance for us. Therefore it was necessary that the typical representations of the things in the heavens should be cleansed by these means, blood of animal sacrifices sprinkled on them, but the heavenly things themselves with sacrifices that are better than such sacrifices. For Christ entered, not into a holy place made with hands, which is a copy of the reality, but into heaven itself, now to appear before the person of God for us. Job 9. 7-12, 23, 24. So Jesus Christ as the great high priest according to the manner of Melchizedek fulfilled what Israel's high priest of the line of Aaron could do only typically when entering into the earthly most holy. Job 9. 24. The spiritual brothers of Christ, joint heirs with him, are strengthened by the words of the same letter to the Hebrews, that we who have fled to the refuge may have strong encouragement to lay hold on the hope set before us. This hope we have as an anchor for the soul, both sure and firm, and it enters in within the curtain, wherefore an heir has entered in our behalf, Jesus, who has become a high priest according to the manner of Melchizedek forever. Job 6. 18-20. Again, Paul encouraged these Christians to feel fully free and confident to approach God and to hold fast to their hope without wavering by these further words. Therefore, brothers, since we have boldness for the way of entry into the holy place by the blood of Jesus, which he inaugurated for us as a new and living way through the curtain, that is, his flesh, and since we have a great priest over the house of God, let us approach with true hearts in the full assurance of faith, having had our hearts sprinkled from a wicked conscience and our bodies bathed with clean water. Let us hold fast the public declaration of our hope without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. Heb 10. 19-23. Moth Heb. Ash. SAS clothes moth. Gr. Says. A four-winged insect resembling a butterfly, but differing from the latter in that its feelers usually are feathery and not terminated by distinct knobs. When at rest the moth's wings are not held erect, as is often the case with butterflies. Instead, they are either folded back flat over the insect's body or held flat at its sides. Also, moths are generally nocturnal. The insect referred to in Scripture is evidently the webbing clothes moth Lineola bisalila, particularly in its destructive larval stage. Job 13. 28. PS 39. 11. Issa 50. 9. 51. 8. Ho 5. 12. Mount 6. 19, 20. O textoi acute muritra longo, Mount, Mountain 443 Issa would come. G 18. 18. 22. 18. X 19. 5, 6 For one to be childless was considered to be one of the greatest of misfortunes. G 30. 1. Under the law covenant a woman was religiously unclean after the birth of a male child for 40 days 7 plus 33, and after the birth of a female child for double this amount of time, or 80 days 14 plus 66. La 12. 2-5 For the 7 and the 14 days respectively she was unclean to all persons, including her husband, but for the 33 and 66 days respectively she was unclean only as to holy things and things connected with religious services at the sanctuary. Hebrew mothers breastfed their children till they were 3 years old and sometimes up until the age of 5 years or longer, in the belief that the longer the child was suckled the stronger it would grow. See weaning. Where the mother died or could not provide a sufficient supply of milk, the nurse was employed. Hence, Babes and sucklings of the Bible could include those old enough to be weaned, old enough to have some knowledge to be able to praise Jehovah and to be trained at the sanctuary. Mount 21. 15, 16. Once a 1. 23, 24. 2. 11. There was a special closeness between the mother and the children, because the mother took immediate care of the children until the time after weaning, when the father would begin to guide the child's education more personally. The mother's position in the household was one of recognized importance. She was to be respected even in her very old age. Acts 20. 12. 21. 15, 17. PR 23. 22. The 5. 16. 21. 18-21. 27. 16. Of course, her position was always secondary to that of her husband, whom she was to respect and obey. As a child, Jesus kept in subjection to his adoptive father Joseph and his mother Mary. Luke 2. 51, 52. Where the father had more than one wife, the sons would distinguish their real mother from their father's other wives by using the designation mother. Full brothers were distinguished from half-brothers by the expression sons of my mother. JG 8. 19. GE 43. 29. The mother was required to transmit the instructions and commands of the father to the children and see that these were carried out. PR 1. 8. 6. 20. 31. When the mother was the manager of her household under her husband's headship. Bearing and rearing children in the right way kept her busy and protected her to great extent from becoming a gossiper or a meddler in other people's affairs. As long as she continued in the faith, this proved to be a very great safeguard for her. 1-5. 9-14. 2. 15. A good mother had to prepare food and make cloth as well as articles of clothing for her children and other members of the household, and her husband as well as her sons could well commend and praise such a woman before others. PR 31. 15, 19, 21, 28. Figurative use. The word mother is applied at Judges 5. 7 in the sense of a woman who assists and cares for others. Paul referred to his gentleness toward those to whom he brought God's truth, his spiritual children, as that of a nursing mother. 1th 7. See gentleness. Because of the close spiritual relationship, Christian women are likened to mothers and sisters of their fellow Christians and are to be treated with the same respect and chastity. Mr. 3. 35. 1-5. 1. 2 Christian wives who follow the good example of Abraham's wife Sarah termed her children. 1p3. 6. Since man's body was made out of dust from the ground, the earth may figuratively be likened to his mother. GE 2. 7. Job 1. 21 A city is depicted as a mother, the inhabitants of which are considered her children. In the case of Jerusalem, the city as the seat of government stood for the entire nation, and the people of Israel as individuals were considered her children. 4. 25, 26. As 23. 4, 25. Compare PS 137. 8, 9. Also, a large city was considered as a mother to her surrounding dependent towns, or, literally translated, her daughters. O textoi acute miritra longo, mountain 444 mountain like the 562 m 1844 feet Mount Tabor. JG 4. 6. The Hebrew word Har may refer to individual mountains, including Mount Sinai, Mount Gerizim, Mount Ebal, Mount Gilboa, and Mount Zion. X 19. 11. 11. 29. 1-31. 8. Issa 4. 5. It may also refer to mountain ranges like that of Ararat G8. 4 and to entire elevated regions like the mountainous regions of Ephraim Jos 17. 15, Naphtali Jos 20. 7, and Gilead 3. 12, as well as to those regions anciently occupied by the Amorites and Ammonites. D 1. 7, 20. 2. 37. The Aramaic word Tadatu. 35 designates a mountain, as does the Greek word Oros. See articles on individual mountains by name. Mountains of Palestine. Palestine on the whole is a rather mountainous land, though it possesses few impressive peaks. West of the Jordan River there are the mountains of Judah in the south, including Mount Moriah, Mount Zion, and the Mount of Olives. 2ch3. 1. PS 48. 2. Mr. 13. 3. The central section of this range extends any to Mount Gilboa 1-31. 1 and contains the mountains of Ephraim and Samaria, with the historic peaks of Gerizim and Dibal. Jos 19. 50. Dr 11. 29. To the NNW the Mount Carmel range juts out into the Mediterranean Sea. J 46. 18. The Valley of Jezreel Esdrella divides the primary range from a second range farther, and this latter range includes Mount Tabor JG 4. 6. In the coastal chain of Lebanon Mountains. JG 3. 3. 1 Chi 5. 6. East of the Rift Valley of the plateaus of Edom and Moab 2ch 20. 10. And the high cliffs along the eastern side of the Dead Sea, including Mount Nebo from which Moses viewed the Promised Land, as well as the Tablil and Dia of the Jordan Valley, which averages about 600 meters, 2,000 feet in elevation. D 3. 10. 34. 1-3. Jos 13. 8, 9. 20. 8. This mountainous region continues northward to meet the Lebanon range, with its majestic Mount Hermon, the highest peak in the entire Palestinian region. K 4. 8. Value of mountains. Mountains influence the climate and rainfall. They collect the water and channel it down to the rivers or hold it in underground reservoirs that feed springs in the valleys below. 8. 7. Their slopes have supported trees 2ch2. 16, 18, vineyards, and various crops. PS 72. 16. PR 27. 25. ISA 7. 23-25. J 31. 5. Their higher elevations have served as threshing floors. ISA 17. 13. Mountains have accorded natural protection from invading armies. PS 125. 2. They have offered refuge and storage places in time of danger. GE 19. 17, 30. JG 6. 2. Mount 24. 16. Compare E6. 15. And shelter for wildlife. PS 50. 10, 11. 104. 18. ISA 18. 6. They have provided sites for cities. Mount 5. 14. Mining operations have yielded use floors. 8. 9. Also, valuable building stones have been quarried from mountains. 1 Chi 5. 15-17. Jehovah's possession. All mountains belong to Jehovah God by reason of his being their former. PS 95. 4. Am 4. 13. However, the words mountain of Jehovah or of God often apply in a special way to mountains where Jehovah revealed his presence. These include Mount Sinai or Horeb X3. 1. New 10. 33. And the mountain associated with Jehovah's sanctuary. PS 24. 3. Figurative and prophetic use. Sometimes the term mountain applies to the soil, vegetation, and trees